What's good, folks? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to another episode of the Cover One Film Room. I am, of course, one of your two hosts on this show, Anthony Prohaska, joined as always by Eric Turner. And Eric, it's a new Bills season. We got a new intro. What? It's crisp, it's clean, it looks dope, it sounds dope, it's fantastic. We got a lot to dive into tonight
Lots.
in a game that, when the dust settled the night of and the day before, I think a lot of Bills fans were still in a bit of shock in terms of how the game went down and how things unfolded and transpired. But nonetheless, we have a lot to get into tonight from a quantity standpoint and from an importance standpoint, and we're not alone in doing so.
No, we're not. We're lucky to be joined by one of our good friends, Mr. John Ramsey. If you guys are on Twitter, you know him as Yards Per Pass. John, welcome on to the show, brother.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here talking football with you guys. I wish it was after a better game and we could be happier.
I know. The time that we bring you on, it's going to be kind of a somber type film room. But RJ says this film room will break my soul. Love the new intro. Appreciate that compliment. But we hope that diving into some of this film with us, you guys don't have that feeling. It's almost like a cathartic feeling, a therapeutic feeling. We hope that's what some of the explanation and deep dives into this film really brings to you guys.
Yeah, I think we're sitting here, about to break down this tape, especially, focusing on the offensive side of the ball. So much of this conversation in this game is centered around Josh Allen, the mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. And, like the three of us were talking before we went online, I think a lot of Bills fans were confident going into this game, but then Aaron Rodgers goes down, which that's a whole nother conversation. Whether you like him or not, that's absolutely brutal for Aaron Rodgers to go down so early in that game, but he goes down. And I think if you were already confident, that confidence meter just ticks up even further. And, Eric, this is a game that shouldn't have been a game when you kind of look at it. I know that's one of your prevailing thoughts and takeaways coming from this game. And I think that's what kind of hurts from an emotional standpoint when you have a kind of loss like that. And not only do you lose, but you lose in an uninspected fashion, a disappointing fashion. It guts you that much more.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's tough. That after Aaron Rodgers went down, we all know it shouldn't have been a game. It shouldn't have been a game. The mistakes that Josh Allen endured and really was kind of induced to, as we'll talk about as the show goes on, it really made it a game, right? And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Josh cost them this win. And it was obviously, yes, it's week one, guys, right? It's week one. Week one's a liar more times than not. But when you're playing against a divisional opponent and a Super Bowl contender that lost their starting quarterback, a future Hall of Famer, you should do whatever it takes to win the game, not hand the game away and lose the game. Right, John?
Yeah, I mean, you got the Hall of Fame quarterback goes down. You're up 10 points. I mean, you could kind of almost hand the ball off every time and just rely on your defense. I mean, they weren't. I don't know if you guys watched the Manning cast at all afterwards, stuff like that. But they didn't trust Wilson. They really, they weren't really going after. It reminded me a little when I don't remember the Green Bay game last year when Rodgers was in there, and then how Green Bay was ultra conservative, and the Bills just kind of, it looked very conservative with Wilson, and the only way they were going to really get hurt was if they hurt themselves. And
Don, is that your prevailing thought? Like your takeaway from this game, if you're sitting there, are you just is top tier, high level takeaway number one? Are you sitting here thinking like, is the top takeaway, the Bills shot themselves in the foot, or is it something more micro or something on a larger scale? Like, what's your top takeaway as we sit here, 2 days removed from a disappointing loss for this Bills team?
Yeah, it's disappointing is a good word, but they lost when they were taking risks that were not necessary. I think is the best way to put it. It's much. I joke and say we lost. The Bills lost to a team playing Giron ball. Where you don't make any mistakes. You hope that the other team gives you a couple. You break off a couple random big plays and win a close one. And it's kind of what happened.
That's fair. That's a really good analogy. It makes me like, I mean, as soon as you said Jerome Ball, it took me back to whatever year it was, that Bears team that was like 13-3. Like Mike Brown had back-to-back interceptions for touchdowns against the Niners, Browns, and then playoffs lost to the Eagles. And that's that Jerome Ball piece is so spot on. And Eric, that ties into, kind of if the Jets looking for the Bills to make mistakes. And it was said during the game. I think Aikman said it, like the only way the Jets can really get back in is if they take the football away, something that the Jets defense really didn't do last year. And so, Eric, when you're looking at the Bills offense, they obviously fell into several drives where they ended the drives with turnovers, shot themselves in the foot. That contributed significantly to them losing the game. So when you're looking at the offensive side of the ball, big picture, where are your focal points in terms of kind of where they've misstepped?
Yeah, obviously the turnovers are a big deal, but that Jets defense, we knew going in that they're going to be one of the toughest defenses, if not the toughest defense that the Bills are going to see this season. And they're going to have to see them again, obviously. So we knew it was going to be a dogfight on that side of the ball when you're talking Bills offense versus Jets defense. We understood that the Jets defense is fast. They're physical. They have a certain swagger to them. You heard it in the news saying that they believe that they have an all-time defense. And honestly, when you watched them play that night on Monday night, they are faster than I thought they were. They were on another level, playing so much faster more times than not than the Bills offense. The passing windows were super small. They got after Josh Allen in waves, forcing him to almost speed up his processing. And obviously it got him a little antsy at times where he was leaving the pocket when he didn't need to. He was hesitant to pull the trigger at times, which is so weird to say, John. You and I talked about this offline where I kind of thought he was kind of trigger shy and hesitant at times. Not because, most people assume that it's because he didn't understand the coverage or couldn't read the coverage. I think it was more than that. I think it was more specific than that. I think he understood the coverage. I think he understood the concept and how they were attacking it. I think he almost respected some of their players in coverage a little too much, more so than his arm, and from the shoulders up where, there were times, we're going to show it on film, where he had a guy open right in the flats immediately. He had a guy open in the hook to curl area immediately. And he was just hesitant to pull the trigger because a guy was a couple yards away. And it's like, Josh, just get rid of it and get it there and move the offense and stay on track. And the Bills offense were not able to stay on track. We're going to talk about it. We're going to show you some numbers. It's going to be a good show because we got some stats. We got some film. We got our man YPP in the room. So I'm excited to talk about this game, even though it was obviously a huge loss, albeit in week 1.
Yeah, I think that's such a key component as well, right? Like this isn't a spot this team wanted to be in. If you're a fan of the Buffalo Bills, you didn't want to sit here and have them be 0-1 after week 1, let alone losing again in New Jersey, to Zach Wilson for the second year in a row. And just, you didn't want to be there in general. But, and I hate saying it because I feel like so many people don't want to like hear that proverbial kind of motto or cliche, but it's week 1. There's so much football left. You do not want to be who you don't want to be your finished product in week 1 and in September. You want that piece come November, come December. And if you juxtapose it with how last season went, not to kind of find a silver lining here, but think about how the Bills came out last year against the Rams and boat raced them and were hitting on all cylinders. And then the next thing you know, they started to get a little more inefficient once they hit October, once they hit November, once they hit December, we started to see some trouble afoot. And so it could be the opposite this year in terms of them course correcting and getting things and going forward. But Eric, there was a really interesting article that dropped today. A lot of it was obviously tied to Mr. Patrick Mahomes, but a lot of it also ties into the nature of Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills offense, how they attack. We talked so much on this show about too high coverages and the prevalence of them with too high shells and the, whole idea of changing the pre to post snap picture and what you can do and spinning safeties down and how all of it is designed to combat these vertically explosive passing attacks that generate explosives through the air, depending on how you measure it, whether it's more than 15 air yards or completions over 20 yards, all these pieces. Defenses have designed themselves today to kind of put a cap on offenses, limit those explosives. And, this was a great article today that really, dropped a lot of knowledge and focused on the Patrick Mahomes piece, but it really tied into what we're kind of seeing defenses continue to play Josh Allen and this offense. And this quote here from Mahomes is a perfect example of the kind of area that Allen needs to lean into rather than going away towards.
Right.
Going away
And
from.
we're gonna go over some of the coverages that the Jets played. We're gonna show you the film and how the Bills attacked it and how Josh was hesitant and trigger shy, then got super over the top and was turning the ball over. But it really starts with how teams are defending him and making him take those underneath throws. And if you look at some of these quotes from Mahomes from a couple of years ago about how teams started to defend them and the Chiefs, I'll read the quote here. It's really good from this ESPN article. He says, "We faced so many deep coverages where teams were taking away all of our deep throws. I had to learn when to just take what's underneath. That's something where I've kind of grown and matured. We'll call deep plays still all the time, but if the defenses are going to play that deep, even though I want to, in my heart of hearts, to throw it downfield and make those big plays, I'll take the underneath stuff and find ways to move the ball down the field that way." And John, I feel like, that quote from Mahomes is really where we're expecting Josh to kind of grow and develop this past offseason from last year to this year, because last year, especially once he got that injury, everything was deep when we're talking yards per attempt and everything. He had one of the highest percentage of throws, over 20% last year in attempts. This is the area that we talked about all offseason with the 12 personnel, bringing guys in like Hardy, augmenting the run game and some of the offensive line pieces. This is the type of stuff that we want to see from Josh Allen, right? And we just didn't see it in week 1.
So I had many thoughts about that article. I tweeted about it and everything. Yeah. I actually thought they missed the biggest reason, which is teams throw to score points.
Yep.
You don't run to score points. You run to end games, keep the clock moving. Teams got so good at throwing deep because that's the best way to score points.
Yeah.
So, but defenses are not good enough to take away short passes and long passes to force you to run. So therefore, they take away what scores points the most: deep passes. I mean, football's an easy game. It just happens at millions of miles an hour, and QBR are trying to kill you. The article, the Mahomes quote that you read reminded me, if either of you play baseball. I don't know if either of you guys.
I did hit
baseball.
Absolutely.
Okay. Home runs don't come from when you're trying to hit home runs. Home runs come from when you're trying to make good contact and you just catch it right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the passing game. You make good decisions, and eventually the home runs in the passing game will come from making good decisions. So it's a process. Trust the process. It's make good decisions. Make the best decision that you can always make, and eventually that best decision will be the deep ball. It will be the home run ball. It will be a busted coverage, like when you saw the Chiefs-Lions game when St. Brown got deep, even though he's not, he's just a clear out.
Yep.
Busts happen, and that's when you can hit the home run ball. When you keep looking for the home run ball, the variance goes up, and with higher variance, it means there's more big plays, but there's also more bad plays. And when you don't give your receiver even a chance to touch a ball on some of these deep balls, you can only have the bad side. You can't have the Garrett Wilson fluky catch.
Ridiculous.
But at least he could touch it. And then the other ones, they didn't get a hand on it. So
no, yeah, that's a good point. And I think that so much of the too high revolution that we started to see as defenses tried to swing that pendulum back in their favor goes to, Eric, what you said, and John's point right there, like the whole idea of, trying to put a cap on offenses and limit those explosives. And the idea of, I remember seeing, I think it was a Steve Sarkisian clinic at one of his years at Alabama. And he was talking about how even if you have like the most talented offense, it's really hard to go 10, 11, 12 plays all the way down the field and
Mhm.
execute every single time. And he said, even if you have the most talented team, sooner or later, somebody on your offense is going to mess up. And, how big do they mess up and where do they mess up? It might vary, but it's hard to just live consistently that efficiently. John, what do you got?
And I was going to say, you see a defensive variant of that with the Chiefs, whereas they have decided to go for the big negative defensive play and realize that they know they are going to give up points. But if they can get enough big negatives, let's say they get the sack on 2nd and 10, then it's 3rd and 18, and then they can play their softer stuff. But I think you're starting to see that on the defensive side, where teams who aren't as defensive dominant, like the Jets are, who can sit back and get there at 4. You see teams becoming more aggressive to get the big defensive negative, which will allow them to, sit back a little. Anyways, you were talking about that.
No, that's a
and
great
I
one.
think that's kind of what we're hoping with McDermott is how he's gonna inject his philosophy back into this defense rather than Leslie Frazier's, which is again kind of that Tampa 2 is kind of a thing of the past. But we're talking coverages, guys. I want to shift to this game and how the Jets played the Bills in this game. So I got some stats from last season when the Bills and Jets met in both of those games, and how to show you how the Jets played the Bills offense last year. And then I'm going to show you what they did in this game. So last year, early downs was predominantly a 2 high safety shell, which when you guys study Robert Saleh's defense and, even the coach that went to the Texans, I'm sorry,
D'Amico Ryans.
When he was a coordinator, they played a lot of that stuff in San Francisco as well. A lot of early 2 high shell looks, a lot of cover 4, a lot of quarters, a lot of cover 6 and whatnot. But as you can see on 1st and 2nd downs last year, you saw a lot of 2 high looks. So 2 safeties deep, cover 2, Tampa 2, cover 4, cover 6, primarily are those 2 high shell looks. But then when it got to 3rd down, they manned up and they were aggressive. 46.2% of cover 1 on 3rd downs last year in 2 meetings against the Bills. And they got up in the face of the wide receivers, jammed them, were physical. And so that's how they kind of faced them last year. And we saw a slightly different look this year in week 1. A high uptick in cover 4 once again on 1st down. So again, 2 high shells, and it's aggressive quarters. We called it an aggressive quarters because those safeties come downhill. They come down fast. They can fill those C gaps from depth. You can see some cover 6 on 1st down as well. But then you see on 2nd down, it was a dip from cover 4. You saw that dip by, about 20%, but the uptick in cover 6, which can be very confusing to quarterbacks because in many ways, depending on where the quarterback's eyes are, it can look like, a cover 3 type look, depending on who's going out to the flats. So on 3rd down, you saw them go to cover 1 at a lower rate, 38.5%. So you can kind of see how, the Jets defended them. And you know what? They didn't really stack the box as much as I thought they were. They were able to defend the run and some of that underneath stuff with some of those 2 high shells, which again, you get those box numbers. You want to be able to do what you want as an offensive, play caller and offensive when it comes to execution.
Yeah, I think that was an area I really wanted to see the Bills take more advantage of the box usage. Last year from a 2022 perspective, the Jets had a light box rate of 46%, but then playing the Bills in week 9, they had a light box usage rate of 59%. And then in week 14, 65%. They went up even higher. And my thought or hope at least was, with the presence of the run game, especially more of that downhill physicality type run game that the Bills have discovered a little bit more and leaned into a bit in the preseason, I had hoped that they would take advantage of those and kind of force the Jets out of those 2 high shells or those 2 high coverages. And we really didn't see it work. And a lot of it was tied to, Eric, like you said, and I think this is a key point too, right? So much of the schematic conversation, I think from fans comes down to like, oh, well, the scheme is bad or the play calls are bad. Sometimes you're playing an opponent that's just really good. And Quinnen Williams is an absolute stud. Like, I don't know how many reps he lost in going back and watching the tape. He was a monster inside. Jonathan Franklin Myers is really good. Bryce Huff is good. Jermaine Johnson looks like he improved in year 2. They didn't even play Carl Lawson, who gave the Bills problems last year. Like, they have a good front. CJ Mosley is tremendously smart, even though maybe he's not the athlete that he used to be. Quincy Williams plays the run and comes forward and blitzes like a heat-seeking missile, and like he's pissed at the offense and he feels disrespected on every type of play. The Jets have a good squad up front. The Bills weren't able to threaten them enough with the run, so it let the Jets continuously have that numbers advantage in coverage. If you can get pressure with 4 and you can play those light boxes, you have the ability to consistently drop 7 into coverage, which means you can be more coverage diverse. You can change the pre to post snap picture. And Eric, they also did something, you and I were talking about it yesterday, I think, just the ability to muddy the looks for Josh. And like, they would be in coverages and you're sitting there like, is that a cloud corner? Is he dropping? Is he going to come up and play the flat? Is he not? Like, what's he? And if you're hesitating like that, watching the film, imagine what it's like hesitating if you're Josh Allen and you're doing that for a split second and then Quinnen Williams is coming through. Like, they really had a good game plan. They executed it. And then pairing it with those coverages, some of it's tied to the talent too. You can't play cover 1 like that much and be that good of a defense like the Jets were last year and like we think they'll be this year if you don't have good corners. DJ Reed is solid. Everybody knows what Sauce can do. Even, Michael Carter in the slot, they've got dudes that can play and they executed well. And, John, when you're looking at things from that standpoint, from the coverage standpoint or what the Jets defense threw at the Bills, where's your head at? Is it the type of coverages that you saw? Is it the way they executed? Like, what's your takeaway in that regard?
Well, I think you guys hit on a couple great points. The first, getting pressure with 4, obviously, and being able to drop 7. Oftentimes they were chipping the 4. So then the 2 that are, they go empty and they chip the ends and then they release out into the flats. Yeah. Then you're almost covering 3 with 7. Yep. Like on a long yardage, that's
those chippers are just leaking out, but they're so late into the route distribution and underneath that it's kind of just like
Right. And I know, Eric, we talked about this earlier, when their PFF is diagramming, what coverage is what, there are a lot of variations inside of those coverages.
Yeah.
So like a coverage 6 or a cover 6, a lot of times the 2 side is completely, spot drop 5, but then on the strong side, you might have a 3 versus 2 match with the 2 slot guys and basically manning number 1.
Right.
Or there's a bunch of different varieties you can do in that. So, so really it's almost more complicated for than even they're making it look even in the stats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's almost like positionless football now, a defensive end, is it's an edge guy or he might be dropping more. There's so many varieties you can do that it's more complicated, I guess.
That's a great point. Yeah, you can have a team that's running, I run quarters and you run quarters, but your brand of quarters is completely different based on the type of match rules that you like or what you like to do in a 3-by-1 and what your rules are, what you choose to do with the backside safety and how you treat, the trip side. There's so many different rules and unique pieces to each team that it's hard to chart that. And if you're a player, it's hard to kind of break that down and attack it. Eric, this graphic you pulled up is tremendous in terms of kind of using the data to kind of put everything that happened into a little bit of perspective so we can kind of see how things unfolded when you're looking at things from an each down perspective.
Yeah. So we talked about the coverages and those 2 high shells and how that, the Jets like to defend the Bills in that way. Well, if you dive in a little deeper to the passing by down, now look at this. And this is where I think we started to see the Jets kind of induce hero ball, Josh, in this game. So first down, EPA per dropback, -0.19, second down, 0.09, and then third down, 0.19 on the positive side. If you look at the completion percentages, first and second down, you looked at the box score, you're like, man, that's pretty good. At a pretty good clip. It felt good too when you're watching, especially that first half. Josh is completing a lot of passes. But if you look at the negative percentage, so on first down in the passing game, the Bills had a negative play 36.8% of the time. All right. So in first down, that's putting them behind the chains already, off schedule already. Now, if you look at the run game, 40% of their running plays on first down were negative plays. So immediately, guys, right off the bat, they were off schedule. and behind the chains. And we know when Josh feels that type of pressure that he is going to press things when really he didn't need to in the grand scheme of things because of what happened to Aaron Rodgers on the offensive side of the ball. He didn't need to, press like we saw him do. The other thing about this first down, we talked about the negative percentage plays. Well, something that rolls into that, all 5 of the sacks by the Jets occurred on first down. So, there's 3 penalties for 25 yards. 2 of those penalties were on first down. So you're just compounding, how your quarterback and the pressure he's feeling. And you saw his headspace start to change and his body language start to change. And I think it had a lot to do with, stuff like this, the early downs, how they weren't successful. They were really successful on second down, but that's the Jets kind of backing off, playing a lot of that cover 6 and saying, hey, you know what? Are you going to take that underneath stuff? And we're going to show you in the film room. He didn't. And so it put them into some awkward 3rd and longs. And it really induced that hero ball mentality, I think, from Josh. On top of, again, the pressure of playing on Monday night in front of all these people, week 1, Aaron Rodgers across from him. There was a lot of different factors, but he's got to be able to weather that storm. As a franchise quarterback, he's got to be able to weather that storm. But I will say, for the most part, Dorsey did a good job of trying to set him up for success. Josh just wasn't taking it, and I think it had a lot to do with those early downs and getting behind the chains.
That's such a great point. Like we were talking about it offline. When he makes a mistake or he feels like things aren't going the way he wants them to, he presses a little bit. And if that doesn't work, he presses a little bit more and then presses a little bit more. And he'll make mistakes or make these poor decisions that start to snowball and compound, one after the other. And the sacks on first down, along with the penalties, is a huge takeaway for me, especially like in overtime. That first play, you get the false start from Spencer Brown and it's 1st and 15. And immediately I was like, that's like, I don't want to be dramatic. I was like, that's the worst thing that can happen to Josh Allen right now. He's at a game where he's had several turnovers, 4 to be specific. He's making poor decisions and poor plays, and he's pressing a lot already and trying to do this hero ball, YOLO ball, sugar high Josh, whatever you want to label it. And now you've started him out behind the 8 ball again. And now the Jets can continue to potentially get him to feed into that side of his game that we don't want to see. That ability when he's calm and he's efficient and he's surgical and he's letting the game come to him. That's the Josh Allen that, everybody wants to see with regularity. And that's not the one that we saw. And a lot of it was due to I don't want to say their failures on early downs, but just getting put behind the 8 ball in a variety of ways, whether you're not succeeding from a regular standpoint or you're getting put in situations where you're getting sacked or you're getting a penalty early on. It just puts you in a negative mental state. And John, when you kind of tie that into Allen's performance, is that how you saw it? How did you see Allen kind of approaching this game as the game went on, as his play kind of spiraled as we went through the entirety of the game?
Yeah, and you guys mentioned the offensive coordinator. If you look back when the game started, it was a lot of short, easy passes, like the Hardy game script. You can, in my opinion, he was ready for the quarterback to come out, just
too high,
sugar high. Yeah, I mean, you could almost see it in his eyes, pregame. There's like a couple shots of it. I'm not amateur psychologist, but you could we've seen the kid enough. You can see it. You can see it a little bit, and I think he tried to get him, the quick, easy passes. Let's get you into a. Came out. I thought the best play calling he did was the first drive of the second half. I thought there was some really good stuff in there to try to get him going, but then it doesn't get going. And like you guys say, he starts to press a little bit and then press a little more. You can go back to his college tape at Wyoming. I mean, you see that. I mean, it is who he is. But it's who can focus that just a little. I don't even think it needs to be a lot. I just think he just calm him down just a touch, and then the sky's the limit.
I'll add to this before we go to the film. I was told that typically, the day after a game when they're given that day off, typically, obviously, not everyone goes in and gets treatment and everything. A lot of guys decide to stay away from the facility the day after a game. They get the day off, they stay away unless they need treatment, right? Josh is one of those guys typically. I was told he was in the building 9 to 2 that day on his day off, putting in extra work. And even after that was trying to rally some guys that were there to watch a little more film and talk a little more ball. So again, take it for what it's worth. But I do think he realizes how bad he played. He's pretty self-aware. He's a self-aware guy. And he takes responsibility to a fault. Sometimes a lot of fans are sick of it. I get it. But I was told he was in there putting in extra work. And from watching that, presser today, I watched a couple minutes of it, didn't see the whole thing. I would be shocked if he doesn't come out and have a good game against this Raiders team. I'll just leave with that. I could see him bouncing back. I know Joe Marino posted something about the Bills bouncing back after a loss and how they're really good when it comes to that. I could see that happening totally this week against the Raiders, especially home opener, guys. I mean, I could definitely see them and Josh getting going early and often against the Raiders here.
Yeah, that would be nice. I think everybody would like that. A nice bounce back game, a home game. That's the home opener as well, and just absolutely eviscerate Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders.
No doubt. All right, so let's jump into the film, guys. I know you guys have been waiting patiently to watch this film. This is why you come here. So we talked about those two high coverages, right, guys? We talked about how the Bills attacked it, and so this is a basic concept. It's a smash concept, and it's one that came up a bunch this game because they saw so many of those too high safety looks. And early in the game, I thought, Josh saw it well, and he got rid of it. You see him get rid of it to Knox underneath, and then Knox does what he does. He's able to get some yards after the catch. But I want you to watch, how the defense responds to this too high coverage beater. So you got that vertical route that turns into a corner and then just a flat route right here. But I want you to, the guy in conflict and who they're really attacking here is this corner, and just watch his behavior because it's going to come up later in the game. He's reading Josh's eyes, and Josh's shoulder and eyes are looking to that corner ball. So you can kind of see DJ Reed back off it quickly, but then obviously transition to come down to get knocked. So, on this play, Josh was crisp with it, right, John? Like he was immediate with it. He got the ball to Knox. He saw that Reed was bailing. His body behavior showed him that bail. So he just got it out to Knox and let Knox do his work.
What's really crazy about this play, this concept versus, what the Jets are running is how important it is in the game, because we see it over and over again. Mm-hmm. And, we'll come back to it later, in the clips and stuff about how they start messing up a simple, like you say, a simple flat pattern. Mm-hmm. It's just not, for some reason. And I thought he was better throwing it to the left than the right. I don't know if that's coincidence or not, but this should be taking candy from a baby on early down, short yardage. Just hit it, move on, away we go.
Yeah, this is something that I remember learning, like the whole idea, especially against a coverage with like a cloud corner like that. I remember hearing that get taught to quarterbacks when I was little, going to like my older brother's practices. And then when I played, like, if the corner sits, you hit the corner route. If the corner sinks a little bit, you hit the underneath, you hit the China, or you hit the flat smash, whatever you want to call it. And Allen almost kind of like, because of Eric, like you said, like, hey, where his eyes are and his body language, he causes DJ Reed to sink a little further, thinking, he's going to try and hit Kincaid on this corner, to the point that, Reed starts to drop into it and then has to completely speed turn around. Yeah, Allen's like eyes, his body language, he's looking towards Kincaid. You have that short side safety there starting to open up and drive. You see Reed is starting to slow turn and open up to drive or to sink back into where Kincaid is. And then Reed keeps his eyes on Allen, has to speed turn and come back to the flat because Allen essentially looked him off and hit this throw underneath the Knox. And like John said, this is just like a simple concept. You read the corner, see what they're going to do, and then you fire it in and you make your read. What's also interesting as we go forward is the Jets, because this concept was run several times, including, later in the game, but based on who was playing it defensively, they kind of played it a little differently, which caused Allen to kind of play it a little differently in addition to kind of being in his own head. But yeah, this is how it should work. And it was pretty when it did. I also want to give a shout out to Kincaid for absolutely wrecking Tony Adams downfield on that block. Really nice to see the physicality kind of early from the rookie. Adams comes in and Kincaid right up there and just houses him, and the sideline loves it. Little physicality from Knox with the ball and physicality with Kincaid upfield as a blocker.
And this is what 12 personnel brings, right? I mean, there's a different, personnel grouping here, 2 tight ends, and you're able to bring that physicality at the point of attack with the ball, but also, out in front with the tight end down the field making that block, as you said.
Really quick, I just want to add one thing. This is something where, you have to know game situation. When it's 1st and 10, you're hitting the flat until it's not there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's single, right?
Yes,
that's single.
Yes, you are taking it until it's not there, and then you hit the corner. Obviously, if it's 3rd and 8, maybe you're cheating more towards hitting the looking corner deep to short. But early downs, 3rd and 2, I'm not just making that down and distance up. You take it, and we'll talk more. But I just want you.
No, it's a good setup.
It's got to be smart.
And then it rewards you later potentially, because then they start to have to honor those underneath routes, and all of a sudden the intermediate or the more vertical explosive type routes become available because they have to honor the underneath that you've been drilling and pounding all game.
Yeah, right. Think about when Brady would kick the shit out of us with just kick the shit out of the Bills. It was so annoying. And then they'd hit the play action deep ball to some 5th string wide receiver on the deep post, and just
David Gibbons.
Yeah, you're like, I hate this game, and off you go.
All right, so on to the next play, 2nd down here. This is, again, one of those early throws that he was very decisive. They shift to a cover 3 post snap, and he hits the seam route to Diggs, puts it in a place where Diggs can get down quickly. And you can see it does kind of start off as a too high look, but that safety is coming down. There's a cover 3 look right up the seam. Eyes from Diggs to Josh. They're on the same page, and he rifles it in there. I really like this decisiveness, and I do like this concept too, because you can see to the bottom the two tight ends as well. This is something they showed multiple times in the game as well, where you're having a tight end stacked behind another one during that release phase, and then based on the single high or 2 high look, they're running different routes. Well, with the middle of the field closed here, which means 1 safety, you're having an in-breaking route here, and you're going to see Knox kind of pivot out here, but he does come back to the middle field. So just nice little wrinkle there. But overall, I just like the decisiveness on this throw by Josh against this coverage that changed post-snap.
Yeah, and I think a key component of this one is like just how on time and in rhythm Josh Allen is. Like, he follows through on this throw. Like Eric, like you said, he's decisive. It's a good rhythmic throw. He gets the snap. His eyes don't deceive him. He reads and understands what's going on. Like, he looks confident. He looks sure, and he drives a good ball. Diggs gets skinny and gets upfield, and you see that type of throw after what we'd seen earlier in this game. The clip before was earlier, along with several other ones, and you can see like, okay, Josh is starting to get comfortable. The offense is starting to get comfortable, and this is the way you kind of have to live against this Jets defense. Like, they're going to make it hard on you. They're going to make you earn everything. You got to take what they're going to give you. And sometimes that's a 5-yard out route. Sometimes it's the swing pass out of the backfield because they're not covering down on something. Or sometimes, you just read it and you hit the seam in the cover 3. John, what are your thoughts on this play as we kind of move forward here?
My notes on it were I thought this was his best throw of the game. I thought, it was early on, but like you say, back foot, boom, sees what he wants, throws it. Very good quarterbacking. Reminded me a lot of when Manning. You remember Peyton Manning would hit Dallas Clark on these 3 times a game. This is what it reminded me of, and it was what was interesting to me about it was that it was a rare cover 3 look.
Yeah,
they rarely showed cover 3 this whole game, and for him to, I doubt they went away with it. Went away from it because of this, but it was just interesting that it was a rare look that he got, and probably had his best throw of the game on it. And I did like, Eric, you pointed out the concept of the 3 wide receiver or the 3 receiver concept. I did like that. We hadn't seen much of that. And I liked it. I think we'll see more of that later. Not necessarily in this game, but in later in the season. Because I think it looked good.
Yeah, and the seam throw isn't typically Josh's, throw. It's not really his forte. Now this was a little different. It wasn't a layer throw. This is more of a strike, but down the seam it's not really his best throw when we're talking accuracy or placement. So, okay, back to the smash concept, guys. This is first down. Keep in mind, this is a first down, and this is a sack. And you can ask maybe 10 people, and 5 are going to say this is on Josh. 5 are going to say this is on the offensive line. Spencer Brown, Torrance getting pushed back into Josh's face. I lean towards this is a Josh mistake. 1-step drop, ball should be out. Same concept we saw earlier, right? He hit Knox in the flats on that one. Same exact concept, just to the top of the screen here, right side of the offense. But for some reason, Josh doesn't take that single, right, John? He doesn't take that single in the flats. He's trying to like fake out or bait Sauce Gardner to jump up so he can hit that corner route. He doesn't bite. He actually spaces it really well. It does a good job of spacing both of those routes, gets Josh to hold on to it, and then the protection breaks down. But you got to take those singles. You got to take those passes underneath, especially they're already cross midfield, midfield. These are the type of plays where you just want the ball out of Josh's hands and really not allowing the offensive line to get pushed back into his face. Ball should have been out, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And both could be right too. Like it's bad offensive line play, but it shouldn't have mattered. Is the point I think you and I are both making? Like, going back to the Brady Patriots, a lot of those Patriot offensive lines were not fantastic offensive lines, but they didn't have to be because the ball was out so soon. It was like you see it with Burrow last year with the Bengals. He got rid of the ball so quickly. It didn't matter. As long as the guy wasn't getting beaten clean from the line of scrimmage, it didn't matter. And against a great Jets pass rush, you get rid of the ball. Don't at first down. Just it's wide open. I feel for the kid because I know he wants it. I mean, but man, just situational awareness. And I'm sure it just is pounded into his head. Josh, take it. This is easy candy, easy money. So, I'm sure people point out Diggs coming, on the triangle read coming across too.
Yep.
If he even wanted that, he could have had that a bunch of times too. But he, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I love the point from John. Like, I don't think it's a good pass pro rep at all from Spencer Brown. I know that was a big takeaway for a lot of people, but I'm in a similar boat. Like with the drop and the open receiver in the flat, like you take it, you hit it, and he looks right at it. And what's also interesting with this one too, when he first starts to hitch up, Eric, if you go back just like slightly, because this is when he starts to he starts to load up. As he started to right before, like Sauce is the corner up top there. He's still even with the corner out there. So just hit the flat. It's first down, exactly like we said. And kind of to put it to a baseball analogy, because I like analogies and I love baseball. Like this made me think. Granted, the Jets weren't completely on the ropes here, but it made me think of a team that has a pitcher who's had like a lot of pitches in the game and he's struggling finding the zone. You don't want to start chasing pitches. You want to prove to him, or you want him to prove to you that he can hit the zone. You want him to beat you. You don't want to go chasing. You don't want to make things easy on him and give him an easy out. You complete the ball into the flat and allow your guys to take advantage like you did earlier. And one of the pieces too that we saw earlier was in a similar concept, because we're going to see this play later, in the similar concept earlier when he completed it to Knox underneath, we got some nice physicality from him after the run. That's one of Dawson Knox's strength, the athleticism, his ability to put his head down and go through guys and generate some yak. So, maybe you're only completing this, it's a 2 air yard throw, but Knox is able to maybe go through Sauce Gardner and he gets an extra 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe 4 yards. Or like to John's point, you completed the digs over the middle and then it's 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 6 if Mosley makes the tackle. Any one of those options on first down in Jets territory on the 30-yard line, all of those are significantly better options than trying to hit a corner route when you don't need to, especially if your offensive line is a little shaky and you're going against a good front. Just take what's given to you, take the candy, like John said, stay on schedule, stay ahead of the chains. There's no reason to force this here and try and do anything cute. Just take what's given to you like you did earlier. This is where we started to see some kind of, cracks in the armor a little bit and some of that faltering in terms of the decision making, and Josh kind of being like, should I not? And, things started to kind of snowball from a poor decision standpoint from here.
Yeah, and like we saw in that Knox play, and John mentioned it in our chat, make cornerbacks tackle big guys.
Mm-hmm.
You got both those tight ends on one side. You saw in the first play, make those guys tackle out in space, tackle big guys. We saw it when they got it to Kincaid quickly out in the flats a couple of times. He was falling forward after decent gains. That's what you want to do. That's why you go get those guys. That's why you pay those guys right now. Like, make that, if that's going to be part of your physical game, make sure you're getting it to those guys in rhythm on time so that they can do work, like you are paying them and drafting them to do. Project Prospect with Dom C. Appreciate the super chat there. He says, kudos, guys. Always the best analysis breakdown on YouTube. Hit the like button and support these guys. Yeah, we appreciate that, you guys. Likes, comments, you guys being here, engaging. The chat room's going off right now. You guys are doing a great job. We appreciate all the support. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without you guys. I mean, this film that we're watching right now, it's not even possible if you guys aren't, here supporting us and engaging with us. So Project Prospect, appreciate that shout out there. All your shout outs, if you guys send us shout outs or super chats, we'll bring them up on the screen. So if you have questions, go ahead and do that while we break down some of this film. So onto this play. This is a common concept that we see. A lot of people call it Dagger. You get that clear out from Diggs. You get Davis on that deep dig route, that deep in-breaking route. A nice deep over route. I kind of like this, especially versus two high looks by Knox. I'd like to see him run it towards that other safety a little bit better and kind of pulling that guy a little wider. But the spacing on this route's a little jacked up, partly because the corner is holding Diggs up a little bit, partly because Diggs is slowing up and not just running through and clearing that out. But I do like how Josh steps into this throw and is, decisive with the throw itself. And you'll see it from the end zone angle. Again, this is a Dagger concept, and putting Josh under center and running that play action is great. I do like it. I don't know if the Jets really respected it all that much. You saw their linebackers. You didn't even really see him take any type of read steps forward. But in the end, Josh, again, he made the decision. He stepped into the throw, and it was on a rope. And Davis is able to break some tackles after he catches it in stride.
Yeah, we saw some comments from, I think this is one of the plays that people tried to tie into some of the spacing issues we saw last year in the route distribution pieces, and people trying to tie it to Dorsey and why does he have receivers running routes in the same area. So I'm glad, Eric, you let off with that point. And I think Aikman made the point too during the broadcast saying, like, Diggs is that clear out piece. And for, whatever reason, whether it's Michael Carter kind of giving him that jam, he just slows up a little bit and it just becomes muddied and convoluted. But Allen makes a good throw. You get Gabe Davis, who makes a nice secure catch. I also like the route from Davis there. He gets on that hip of Sauce and then gets right across his face. And even though Diggs kind of runs some interference for him, like the timing of it for Gabe Davis, and Gabe Davis had a couple of these where in this game, not to get too off track here, where Allen wasn't able to go to him because he got pressured. Davis had some good timed routes where he was able to sell a vertical piece. A couple against DJ Reed, another one against Sauce later, where he was able to sell that vertical route. And when he got the corner to flip their hips, he was able to put his foot in the ground. Yes, he was able to put his foot in the ground and drive inside or on like a deep comeback type of thing. So shout out to Gabe Davis here. But really good throw from Allen on a concept that got muddied as Diggs didn't continue to clear.
Yeah, my note on this one was I think Diggs was looking for a penalty.
Sure.
That was that. I mean, that's what
because he complains after the play too, doesn't he? Turn and like look to the ref a little bit.
Yeah, and so that's what I thought he was looking for, which obviously didn't help the actual execution of the play. But that's what I thought he was looking for. And yeah, for Gabe that was a strong catch. And not an easy one for a guy that I don't want to get in a Gabe talk here, but doesn't necessarily always have the most natural hands.
Yes.
I guess you
that's a very good way to put it.
So it's great throw right on the money. It was a really, really nice play. I don't have anything really more to add other than you guys. All you guys made good points about it.
Yeah, and it was one of those second and long plays. That wasn't second and 10, that was a second and long play. Again, they got behind the chains on that, early downs on first down. And here's another one of those plays. This is a first down sack. And I will say, this is a play action pass, and I like how, you're getting the running back coming across. You get a puller from the backside and McGovern. I like this split flow. I like that eye candy prior, once the ball is snapped there. But this is a play that there really wasn't too much there. And the pocket wasn't horrible, but Josh kind of eats the turf here. The turf monster takes a bite out of his foot, and he hits the ground. But it's a minor loss. I think it's 2 or 3 yard loss, but it's one of those plays that just put them behind the chains again on first down. Again, all 5 sacks occurred on first down, John. So it's just something that they have to work on, staying out of those negative plays. Again, nearly 37% in the passing game on first down were negative plays. 40% of the running game were negative plays. All 5 sacks occurred on first down. Like, you can't have that all occur on first down. It just puts you behind the chains too much, especially when you're playing a defense like the Jets.
Yeah. A couple notes I had on this one was this was their run personnel grouping too.
Yes.
So this was, Gilliam, Morris, Sherfield, and Davis, I believe.
Yep.
So that, they're in the donor section, between the 40s, shot play area. It's 1st and 10. I have no problem with the play call here. And what was interesting to me about it was that this is the type of play where I think we've seen him force stuff before.
Mm-hmm.
Basically a 2-man route. The other ones didn't get out really much in time. So a sack, sometimes the defense makes a good play. I didn't have the negative feelings like I did towards his other decisions, where sometimes things just don't work. And I felt like this was one of those situations where, just nothing was there. Defense is good too sometimes. They get paid. So those were my thoughts on this one.
Yeah, that's a really good. Again, that ties into like kind of our point earlier too. Like the Jets are a good defense, and sometimes you have the right coverage for the right play call on the other side, and things line up, and you execute properly. Eric, I loved your point with the action from McGovern. We would see that last year a bunch from like Mitch Morse, and it's nice to have, even though it didn't work out how they wanted on this play, it's nice to have an athletic guard at that spot now to be able to, execute this rather than having like Roger Saffold kind of trying to clunkily do it last year, which isn't really an option. So nice to have that in their bag of tricks. But yeah, the Jets cover this well. There's really nowhere for Allen to go. Like his only real option is to try and scramble and make a play from this. But Eric, to your point, like this is where there's like so many like in between things. Like the pocket's not really bad, like, but he doesn't really have anywhere to go downfield.
Yeah.
Like the Jets coverage is good. Like he tries to make a play, but he doesn't really have a play to make. Like he gets caught in this in between land. And again, like it compounds and things start to add up, and it contributes to him trying to play that hero ball or that YOLO ball. And Eric, like you said, like having this happen on, first down, and even though it's small, like you said, like, but for him in this game and maybe his mindset in general, like having a 2nd and 7 or a 2nd and 8 is such a bigger thing. There's such a huge gap between that and having like 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 13, especially against a defense that is kind of playing him into that negative headspace and the kind of, Mr. Hyde personality of his Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah, and to finish this play up, and this is when I started to feel like the game was getting a little too fast for him. This is more of a man match type coverage, and you can see Sauce jumps that route by Morse. And honestly, if Josh keeps his feet here, and again, this is, to me, my opinion is that this is when things were getting a little too fast for him, and that's why he doesn't keep his balance here. But if he does, he's out the front door.
That's the read. I mean, that's where he's trying to go, right? He sees it. He just, exactly your point, maybe gets a little too frantic.
Yeah. And this is when I started to feel like he started to speed up his game, or the Jets sped the game up on him, where that's a big play with his legs. There's nothing there through the air, but I do think there was some yardage to be picked up with his legs there. So here's the very next play. Again, now we're in 2nd and long. Again, maybe it's 2nd and 13, 2nd and 12, but behind the chains, on their side of the field. So here's a 2nd and long play. And this is, the interception here to Diggs down the middle of the field on almost like a divide concept. He's running that Dino post. You're having Kincaid run a corner route. He's supposed to be going to the middle of the field. Diggs is against that too high coverage look. This is a play very similar to the Titans game last year that he scored on. I think it's also very similar to the Packers game where Diggs got down the middle of the field, you know, on a post type route here. But unfortunately, Josh, he gets sped up a little bit because of Quinnen Williams beating Mitch Morse. But from the shoulders up, I don't think he was paying any attention to the backside corner on this play, the weak side corner right here. Whitehead obviously had a big night, several interceptions. I don't think he saw him at all, John. Now, what are your thoughts on this play? Again, I like the call, but it just almost like, again, the game was speeding up on him. This backside route doesn't hold anyone. Whitehead gets on his horse, and he's able to get over the top and make that interception.
Yeah, I mean, just you know, split field coverage like they've been running all game so far. 3 over 2, you know, on the 2 slot guys, you man up 1, and then you're basically playing just basic cover 2 to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that backside dig, like you said, is supposed to hold. It's supposed to hold that backside safety, and he could give 2 shits about that backside dig. I mean, he you just watch it. I mean,
yeah.
Play it. I mean, he does not care about it whatsoever. And I agree, Eric. You know, Williams gets in, he gets a little pressure, and this, you know, there's that is not open. It's not even close to being open.
Close.
Diggs interferes with the guy, you know, swipes at it. At least if it's an underthrown ball, then you have the chance for pass interference, or you have a chance for a jump ball or anything like that. On both of the deep ball interceptions, the wide receiver doesn't even, they don't even get a hand to the ball.
Right.
So again, that's not, you know, it doesn't affect the decision making and stuff. It's just another thing where if you are going to throw it deep, you got to give your receiver a chance to get the ball. And then obviously, I noticed Williams was smart here. He went to the man side, so there was no help. So the guard couldn't help Morse there. I thought that was really, because
they did that a bunch too. They did that a bunch to Morse. Morse didn't have a good game. I will say, like, he didn't have a good game, and a lot of times that's what the defensive tackles were doing. They were just slanting inside, coming right down the barrel, right down Broadway, and just bull rushing him, push pulling him. He had trouble anchoring at times. It was rough. And again, that plays into this, and it sped up Josh's processing. But Anthony, go ahead and give us your thoughts on this play, man. It's rough to see because, again, it's almost like he didn't pay any attention to that guy. And maybe, we don't know, maybe Sherfield ran the route at the correct depth. Well, if that's true, then this is on Dorsey, because this guy should be getting deeper than that. Because like John said, he's got to hold that guy to keep that middle of the field open and keep it honest so that Diggs can get there, like we saw several times last year.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway with it, other than, again, Quinnen Williams is a monster. Like, and I love the piece from John there, like him, you know, slanting it to the man side of the protection so we can get the one-on-one with Morse and then just rip right through him. Unfortunately for Morse, I just have a lot of questions. Like, it makes me think to what the first interception in the first game against the Jets last year in the red zone, where he just throws it, I forget right to who, and it's just like, well, he must not have seen him. And I'm thinking on this one too.
Was it Whitehead?
I think it might have actually been Whitehead.
Right?
I think, maybe before he changed his number, like, and I think it was Whitehead. Yeah, to that. Yeah, when he was like looking to flip it to Knox, and I think he just threw it right to Whitehead. I don't know if, like, did he think or assume that, you know, that backside route was going to hold that safety, so that's why he chucks it here, because that's all this is. Like, this is just a spray and pray type of throw. He just chucks this up, thinking like it's like one of those memes, like Stefon Diggs down there somewhere, and just like chucks it up. And if Whitehead isn't there, there's actually a chance like maybe Diggs is able to like make a miraculous catch, or it's probably incomplete because it's too far for him. But he throws this almost right to Whitehead because he's not held down. And then, yeah, like to the point, like, is it on Dorsey? Is it on Sherfield? Because you can see initially, like, when Sherfield is running his route, when he's still in his stem, you can see Whitehead is kind of flat-footed, like he's sitting there waiting. And then once Sherfield makes his break, that's when Whitehead decides, oh, okay, cool, like I'm out, I'm driving back. And he's also kind of he's also eyeballing Allen, who is just staring down, you know, from, we talked about earlier on the first clip, right? The body language that was signaling to the corner route on the smash route. DJ Reed or on the smash concept, DJ Reed keeps sinking. So Allen hits Knox underneath on the flat. This time it's the opposite. Like, your body language indicates you're going to a guy. You stay on that guy. You couple it with the pressure. I just had like a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions because it was just a lot of bad on this play from a decision standpoint, the route standpoint, and just how it all went down.
Right.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, Eric. I was going to say one very quick thing about reading it as a quarterback too. When you're reading from left to right there, your eyes do not get to the backside until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that, there are some concepts that when you can read it when you can read when guys are coming into your vision, it can be, you'll see the defenders easier versus when you're reading it from what looked like sideline to middle. Your eyes don't get to the backside as easy. Just a quick point there.
No, that's a good footnote. And segue into this next segment. So here's another 3rd and long. And on this drive, once again, they took a sack on first down. It was only a 2-yard loss. But this led to almost the same play that we saw to Davis a few plays ago. Dagger concept. Josh leaves the pocket. I mean, right here. What are you doing? What are you doing? This guy didn't leave the post. Why are you throwing it to the post to Hardy? Why are you doing that when you can run it? And maybe that guy makes contact before the marker, first down marker. But I will put my money on Josh in this situation that he's going to get the first down versus this safety. Instead, throws it deep, and it's an arm punt here basically, which wasn't a horrible thing in the grand scheme of things, but another one of those plays where like, this is a decision-making thing. This is a decision-making issue here on this play, Anthony. It's hard. You can't defend this. You can't defend this when you have all this green to run and get the first down, and you decide to pull up and throw it to the post with the post safety there the entire play. And maybe you don't throw it to Hardy, but maybe you try to feather it to Dawson Knox, who's winning versus CJ Mosley down the field. He basically made the only wrong decision on this play. And he did it. But again, in the grand scheme, this was, of all the turnovers, this one was the one I had the least issue with, but it's still a bad decision.
Yes. From a result standpoint, given, where we were in the game at this point and what it kind of led to, like you said, like it ends up becoming like an arm punt. I wasn't completely upset with it. But then when I saw it back on the all 22, I just started to get frustrated. And it starts with him evading the pocket. I felt like he could have sat there a little bit. I think he sees, so John Franklin Myers ends up going up against Connor McGovern. And I think he sees, so he's the 3rd man from the inside next to Quinnen Williams. I think, exactly right there. Once he gets inside of McGovern here, you'll see it as you start to go forward. I think he sees that flash of color, and it's almost, he's like, screw it, I'm out. And he evades when he really didn't need to, because JFM doesn't get through because he ends up running in some trash with Dawkins. But okay, you think he's going to get through. Maybe, you don't have the most faith in the offensive line, so you're going to get outside the pocket and make a play. What really drives me nuts is, and again, Tony Adams is spinning down. I think that's a high percentage chance of success. Josh Allen in the open field against Tony Adams with 8 yards of grass, or maybe 9 or 10 because he's a little behind the line, for him to try and get the first down. And you don't run it here if you're Josh Allen. You choose not to run and go up against Tony Adams, but later you're trying to like run through linebackers when you don't need to and hurdle multiple linebackers in the middle of the field. And instead of going out of bounds, trying to drop the shoulder. So like then you want to run and get physical. But in this instance where it can be kind of efficient, you choose not to. And then even if you want to get, Eric, your other point, like a little risky, try and hit Knox down the field. He's got several steps on CJ Mosley. He is legitimately open there. Like, it's not to make the same joke again, but there was a multitude of right decisions that he could still make, all varying from like high, different percentages in terms of chance of success. He made the least likely play that had like the lowest odds of success, and he made like the most wrong decision or the least right one. And again, during the game, I was kind of like, arm punt, whatever. Watching it back on the all 22, I'm still flustered like about it. I don't want to show like emotion with it, but I'm annoyed like watching it. It's just stupid.
Anthony, I'm with you. Same exact reaction. Broadcast during the game, okay, what? Not great, but whatever. But when you watch on the all 22, you're like, WTF, buddy? Like, you know, and the worst part, it's a half field, basically a half field read to the other side too. So he kind of almost screws himself on that as well. But when you keep stopping it, Eric, you could just show that picture to everyone when he's about to throw it and say, guess who he's throwing to? And like nobody would guess the guy that he is throwing to.
Right.
Like you would never in a million years guess it. And your point, Andy, about when he's choosing to run and not run, great. Why is he? This is his wheelhouse. Trucking defensive backs. Like, he guy lives for he goes back in bounds to throw a shoulder at these little guys.
Yeah.
But you guys. Oh, and one quick thing on this. 4 strong. I thought that was a little interesting. We saw that a little more than usual this game. Where they had 4 receivers to quads, basically.
Which is good. Again, from a game plan Dorsey perspective, that's good. You want to flood zones when you're seeing those 2 high looks, the quarters coverages, the cover 6s. Like that's what you want to do. You want to flood zones. So yeah, I thought there were some good things when it came to that 4 strong. So 4 eligible receivers to one side of the formation. Again, Dorsey actually, he did some decent things in this game. A lot of the blame shouldn't be on him. I know a lot of fans want to say otherwise, but I think Dorsey, when we're talking blame percentage, I do think that his percentage is quite low in this game. A lot of the blame should go to Josh Allen and the offensive line when it comes to, pressuring him. So, all right, we talked a lot of negative, Anthony and John. We talked a lot of negative. We're getting down on Josh Allen, but here's a positive, and this is Josh Allen playing above the scheme. The play is shut down, and this is the touchdown to Diggs, and it's 3rd down, and this is our easy loan auto sales play of the game, Anthony. Great play from Josh here, waiting to the very last second to hit Diggs for the touchdown here. Just really good stuff from him on this play, and like I said, there's really nothing there. I think he wants to work this little option route or in breaking route right here by Diggs. But it's shut down pretty well. And so he sees a little pressure. He feels a little pressure. And so he takes off and again, holds it to the very last second, full speed, doesn't cross the line of scrimmage. Diggs separates and he's there for the touchdown. So really nice play. Again, this is our easy loan auto sales play of the game. Stefon Diggs touchdown in the end zone there. Just good stuff from the low red zone.
Yeah, this one was one of the really, I don't want to say lone bright spots, but one of the strong bright spots of this game. And Eric, like you said, of course, the making it look easy play presented by Easy Loan Auto Sales, who, regardless of your credit situation, Easy Loan can help you get behind the wheel and on the road to better credit. All their vehicles include a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty, and they have 3 convenient locations in Buffalo, Lockport, and Niagara Falls. Go to easyloanauto.com to start your accelerated approval today. I thought that there was no chance that he had any body part behind the line when this was completed. Like I was shocked that he even got like the foot. And this is some of the yin and the yang of the, the chaos theory that is Josh Allen. Like sometimes he does stuff that you're just ripping your hair out and you're like, what the hell? And then he pulls one of these out of his bag and you're just sitting there kind of in awe of it or just in appreciation or admiration of it. So shout out to Allen for this play. My big favorite part with it, Eric, if you can go to the sideline angle of this one again, Diggs obviously like works back to Allen. So he goes on that slant inside and sees it. This is my favorite part right here. If you go in slow motion, so he's on Carter, watch how he leans into Carter and presses into him and then creates that separation for himself and basically kind of like pushes off. It's similar to, if somebody kind of running like an in-breaker, you kind of lean into your outside shoulder a little bit on that corner and then snap off the route. So it was nice not only from Diggs to have that awareness to, see what's going on with Allen and make his way back towards him to help him out, but the savvy and the nuance within that scramble drill to lean into Carter, press into him, push off, and create some of that separation. And then from a non-football perspective, I'm going to drop the easy piece. There's a ton of Bills fans in the bottom right corner, and it's cool just to see them all stand up as Allen is kind of scrambling and then watch him complete it. And they all just kind of throw their hands up in celebration. It was a nice little camera shot. Yeah, that nice angle there of the Bills fans in MetLife.
Yeah.
John, what were your thoughts? Yeah, kick it to you, John. What are your thoughts on this play with Josh Allen kind of creating off script?
This is Captain Insano at his finest. It's
Nice.
unstoppable. There's nothing the Jets can do on this. They shut it down. They got pressure. They flush him out. And Anthony, you make a great point about Diggs. I had that note. It reminded me of when you play basketball, that guy that can just kind of, you're guarding him, and then he just kind of pushes off to get behind the 3-point line, catches and shoots it. It's a really good awareness of space by Diggs to know where to go, how to, like you said, manipulate his defender to find the open space for his best friend.
Yeah,
love that.
He doesn't just go horizontal, to your guys' point, right? No. He doesn't push off and go horizontal. He gets depth and almost rounds it off, gains a little depth and separation vertically. That's what I'm with you guys. Like, that's a great point when you're talking about the scramble drill and creating in the money situation and the money down in the red zone, low red zone, like great stuff in the scramble drill.
It's like a certain rookie tight end that just seems to have a knack for finding just a little bit of space. Some guys have, it's stupid to say some guys have it and some guys don't. But when you watch, it's literally some guys have it and some guys don't. Like, some guys just have that feel, that knack for getting open.
Yeah, I love it. And then, like I said, this is our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy play of the game. There weren't many positive plays.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Right? So there weren't many positive plays. So that one was almost like a slam dunk. It was too easy, honestly. Nice. But here's another one. I really like the improvisation late in the game, 3rd and long here. Latavius Murray in the empty set to the top. The Bills run really kind of an old Daboll concept. You're getting that wave concept. You're getting a cross right here, post here, and then you're just leaking out Murray after he chips. And Josh senses that it's man coverage, and Mosley's working way over the top to stay with Murray. So he attacks the line of scrimmage, and it's almost like an option. It's like 18 option here to Murray, gets it out there to him, improv, 3rd and long, and Murray's able to convert the first down here. John, what are your thoughts on this play? Again, it started to work out to the point where Josh was just playing backyard football and making plays, and when they needed it late in the game.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Daboll concept. I feel like we saw Isaiah McKenzie just kill the Patriots with this exact concept. I thought it was interesting that Murray was in the game late. I'm assuming it was for his pass blocking.
Right.
You think Cook would be in there, trying to score, but it was Murray. And then I noticed it was a good blitz. I believe that was the hot defender that comes through free.
Right here.
I think they declare 57 is the 5th guy in empty, and it looks like they slide that way. So I thought it was a good job by Josh recognizing that was his guy. And here you can roll it. So I think that's his guy, and when you only got 5 protecting, and 57 drops, and it was great play by Murray. Just to be aware. It was really nice. Came at a big time in the game. I know I give a little fist bump at home, seeing him drop the shoulder and make the play. But again, this is the good where how many other quarterbacks in the league do that? One, maybe Mahomes, but it's the good with the bad. You just wish the bad wasn't so bad like it was some of these other decisions.
Yeah, and John, this play ties into one of the pieces you mentioned earlier. You've got Murray and Knox there, both as kind of those chip help pieces in this spread look, and it actually works in their favor on this 3rd down. Like, neither of them get into the route distribution early because they're both providing chip help. And as Allen tries to evade and has nowhere to go, Murray is this easy safety valve outlet that's right next to him because he was chipping and was close to the line of scrimmage and got into the route distribution late. And so it's kind of, a little fortuitous that Murray is right there. So I thought that was a nice piece that kind of tying into one of the things we mentioned earlier. And yeah, this is this is the other side of, I don't know which one's positive and negative and yin and yang, but that's what this is. This is whichever one is a positive, that's what this one is. And you get that with Josh Allen, for better or for worse, the risk and the reward nature. I've said it on Disguised Coverage. Eric, you and I have said it on the show. This is who Josh Allen is, the chaos that he is. And usually throughout the majority of his career, you've seen more of the rewards. You've seen more of the positive than the negative. This game, there was more negative than positive, but there was still some flashes like this where you just see him do something and you're like, that's off script, that's unorthodox, that shouldn't happen. But man, what an amazing play. This guy just pulled a rabbit out of his hat out of nowhere. It's a shame that it was just, kind of drowned out by the multitude of negatives that he had.
Yeah, speaking of those negatives, remember that smash concept we analyzed a couple times already in this film breakdown? Well, we see it again. This time a third down. It's pretty much the same play to the top of the screen. Josh stares it down, and Whitehead gets another interception. It just, again, and you watch the corner to the top. He kind of comes down like he's going to break onto Dalton Kincaid, right? Sauce is going to break on that flat route. So Josh was like, you know what? I'm going to throw it deep. But Whitehead was watching him the entire time. He was able to undercut it. Ball did kind of sail inside a little bit. Maybe if they're going to have a shot at this, he's got to throw it to the sideline, probably high up and over Sauce, who's the corner here.
Which is a hard throw.
That's a hard throw. It's a hard throw. We saw it last year to Quentin Morris. Was it to Quentin Morris or Dawson Knox against the Lions?
Yes, against Detroit. That's not again Knox. That was one of my favorite. Yep, one of my favorite throws of the year.
He's done it. Don't get me wrong. He's done it. He's done it against the Lions. He's done it against the Dolphins on a couple of times when they're running some of those creeper pressures. He can do it. But this is one of those plays again. Okay, maybe you're not throwing it to Kincaid. You shouldn't be throwing it to Davis. Fine. Well, you're getting the third guy in that triangle. John referenced it earlier. You're getting that third guy in Diggs. Just get it to him. And he's matched up versus Mosley. Get it out in front, and he can run and get upfield. This one was terrible because, again, you started to see some things from Josh and the negatives just didn't go away. He wasn't able to reset and reframe his mind here. And, Whitehead gets another interception.
And also you would at this point too, this is the third time you've ran this concept. You would think that eventually, they're going to start to key in a little bit if you're Allen. So kind of just take what's given. I love the point though with Sauce, and this is the piece that I had mentioned earlier in the episode. As we've gone through with this concept, you've seen it get played different each time. DJ Reed, the first time, really sank underneath Kincaid. The second time was Sauce. He still sank a little more, was even with that corner route. Allen didn't hit the flat. This one, he kind of half plays it. Will I or won't I come up on the flat? But still, Allen, he times it. When he gets the ball, he hits the top of his drop. Boom, ball should be out. Fire it in right there to Dalton Kincaid. It's 3rd and 2. Fire it in. He gets 3 yards. Maybe, again, with how Kincaid was running in this game with the ball after catch, maybe he trucks Sauce Gardner and runs through his chest. At minimum, you're getting 3 yards, 4 yards, something like that. Same thing with Diggs. I recognize the Diggs piece here. I'm not even considering it because the read is to the right. It's a basic high-low. Fire it in there. You're in rhythm with your drop. Fire it into Kincaid. Complete it. New set of downs. Let's move on. But even if you get it to Diggs, I think Mosley is tracking it decently, but still, Diggs probably gets 3 yards, 4 yards. Even if he just gets it and immediately turns up field, he at the very least falls forward 1 or 2 yards, and it's a first down. There's a multitude of just take what they're giving you options, and especially at this point in the game, you're trying to put this game away. You've started to make mistakes. You've started to compound errors one on top of the other. Take what they are giving you. You're in good position. Boom. Fire it in to Kincaid. There's no reason to press and put it onto Davis. And yeah, he's made that throw before and he's, pulled that rabbit out of his hat. And I understand him potentially thinking I can make this throw, but there's just no reason to. And especially in a game where you've been pressing too much, you need to have that self-awareness or someone needs to tell you. But again, it's hard to tell someone to kind of change their nature. And I think that's the bigger conversation. He's got to know within himself to be all all right, cool, it's 3rd and 2. Let me complete this for 3rd down or for 3 yards and get a new set of downs and live to fight another day. And he presses and it kills him.
Yeah. This was a tough one. Third and 2. 2 yards. I believe that the Jets scored their only touchdown after this drive as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving the bad QB, Zach Wilson, a short field. Even if he throws this into the ground, you're punting, and they got to go 80 yards. At minimum, you don't like it, but it's the scorpion and the frog. The scorpion rides on the frog's back and then stings the frog. And what did you expect? I'm a scorpion. It's what I do. You just gotta just a little bit. You just there's no, like you guys said, there's no reason for it at all. It's not there. You don't need it. Throw it now, right where you have it stopped. Boom.
Yep.
It's
even if you wait a little bit and you want to like I didn't hit him right out of his break, and you can still lead Kincaid to the sideline and still fit this in better than you could fit it to Davis, John. Like exactly like you said, like there's no reason. Like why are you pressing right now?
The throw's bad too.
Yes.
Let's be honest. It's not a good throw. If this has to be farther towards the sideline.
Yep. It's up to the quarterback, right? It's up to the quarterback on these routes to either throw them to the corner or throw them flat to the boundary. This is really on Josh to really drop that pin, throw the ball to that spot, lead Davis to where he wants the ball. The ball's got to be, like I said, it's a tough throw from just inside the left hash. Don't get me wrong. It's a tough throw, but he wasn't able to execute it here. But it really is on him when it comes to the actual execution of that throw. And it's just a badly placed throw on top of, again, a questionable decision there when you have better options underneath.
How do you guys feel about Davis's route here?
I don't have a problem with the route here. If you go back and look at the multitude of smash concepts that they've run, this is how they've run it. There's no like little rocker step at the top and to the corner. Kincaid ran it several times. You saw Davis run it a couple times. Like, I think that's just how they normally run it. I don't think there is supposed to be any type of manipulation of the stem on this play. So I don't have a problem with his route here. I know that kind of contradicts what Troy Aikman said, but again, when you look at the offense, and we talked about it with Sherfield's route there on the backside there, we assume that he's supposed to be deeper, but do we really know what they're teaching them? No. So I don't think, based on what we've seen in this film from all the smash concepts, because they ran it a lot, I didn't see any manipulation at the top of the route here on this smash concept.
I was going to say, like, I would like more like manipulation in the stem, but exactly to your point, Eric, like this is kind of how they run it. Maybe he rounds it a little bit more than is ideal, even without any manipulation, and maybe he can kind of make it a little sharper. But either way, Whitehead has this keyed up. Like, he knows what's coming. Like, he is
got to
playing
be quick,
it.
though, because look at the spacing of the corner and the safety. It's got to be quick. He can't push too much because that's just going to give him more time, and it's going to close that separation down.
True.
That's where I worry about that.
Yes, because then you can't get too flat because then you're playing into sauce, and then it makes it an even harder throw for Allen. So it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
And again, Whitehead's angle to this, he's undercutting it like he knows. Like, it's just
seen this several times already.
Yes, it's just another. There's no reason to throw this. Son of a bitch.
No, I agree, man. It's a rough one, man. And we talked about the variations of the smash concept, and you see this one here. And I just showed this one because I want you saw that how the corner read early in the smash concepts, early in the breakdown, how Sauce played it on that play, and how they kind of made Josh be kind of hesitant. Again, I'm jumping the flat. Nope, I'm bailing out. Like, they were messing with him to the point where, as I said at the top, I felt like, he knew what he saw when it came to the coverage, but he didn't trust his arm enough, like you saw in that last play, to get it out there to beat Sauce Gardner, and get it out to the flat route. You kind of see it here. Josh is kind of late on this. Now, he can do this a lot on this, smash concept, on this option route by Kincaid underneath. But Josh is actually a little late on this one. He kind of pump fakes. You see him touch the ball a couple times. Like, ball should have been out. I mean, ball should have been out here. So I feel like you can see some of that hesitancy when it came to his throws. You saw it in the last play. You see it there. And again, this is one of those variations of the smash concept. John, the Bills ran this with James Cook out of the backfield, a backside wide receiver in Davis. He ran the corner. Cook ran a little option route underneath, hooked it up. Josh hit him for like 4 yards. Like, there are different ways to get to this play, but I just wanted to show this variation of that smash concept versus those two high looks, and how it did look like Josh had a little hesitancy there when, if he gets the ball to Kincaid as he's turning and breaking, I think he has a better chance of getting a first down and maybe even breaking that tackle.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point, Eric, about how you can do things for your quarterback, like give him the same concept and make it look very different to the defense.
Mm.
I think that's an important thing that it's good for an offensive coordinator to do for a quarterback, because it's like some run plays. The action in the backfield, it might be totally different, but it's still just power blocking, or it's still just counter blocking.
Mm-hmm.
This is an example here where it's a smash, it's a high low. You're reading that defender out there, and I'm just going to take a minute just to praise my boy Kincaid. You laugh, but you see guys mess this up.
Yeah.
And get too close to the defender and not feel where the zone guy is. He does. It's a very good job of stopping. He even drifts out a little. It's nuanced, but it's good for a rookie, especially a tight end who you really don't kind of expect it from. And yes, obviously, throw it at the top of your drop. Boom, foot hits, throw. Same brain surgery.
No. Yeah. I love that point, Eric, about like that you made with the smash concept. And then John, you tying it into like how you can run the similar concept out of different looks. It makes me think of what Mike McDaniel and Miami do with that. They added some wrinkles to it with motion this year, but that, seam plus wheel plus flat or slide route, like they get to it out of a multitude of personnel groupings or formations and just kind of run that same play, but they get to it out of different looks. And similar case here, smash concept and not really much to add, like get at the top of your drop, get it out. I think Kincaid probably gets the first down. I also love, the point from John there, like he puts his foot in the ground and drifts a little bit towards, kind of the outside part of that zero to get himself away from that apex defender inside, just so he has a little more room to operate. And if Allen gets him that ball on time, he could probably turn it forward a little bit or slip underneath that apex defender and get forward like we've seen him do before. So just another example of, that's easy, pitch and catch, even though pitch and catch is never pitch and catch, but just another example of, Josh maybe not feeling too confident or comfortable in, how he was operating at that time.
All right. So the offensive film is done. We're near the end of this breakdown. I wanted to end with one defensive clip. Again, we ran a little long today. We appreciate John joining us for this breakdown. But I wanted to introduce this play from Matt Milano. It's our real estate rewind, sponsored by Jonathan Miller of Metro Roberts Realty. And Matt Milano had himself a game. And this is one of those plays where he fired his gun, shot the gap, got downhill, and made the stop here. He finished the game with 8 tackles, 3 solo tackles, 2 pressures, an interception. He did a great job on this play. You can see it even better from the end zone angle. This is our real estate rewind. I love this. I love, he sees daylight. He sees Oliver taking this A gap right here. He exchanges and he shoots the gap, avoids that block by McGovern, and brings down Dalvin Cook in the backfield. So Matt Milano was probably one of the bright spots really in this game overall. Arguably the best player on the defensive side of the ball against the Jets in week 1.
Yeah, really beautiful play here, Eric. Like you said, it like reads it right from the jump and then shoots that gap, makes the play in the backfield, closes down with a really good angle and just wraps Cook up. Like we've seen so many of these plays with Milano as that, he's the gap shooter, that chaos creator, the guy who, trusts his eyes and he clicks and closes. And this play popped on broadcast. It was one of the plays I was excited to come look at from an all 22 perspective. And he hits it so fast too. Like McGovern has no chance to climb it and get him at the second level. Like he is shot out of a cannon. He reads it, diagnoses it immediately, and then bang, makes that play in the backfield. Like this is something that, I think we maybe have gotten a little spoiled with when it comes to Matt Milano, because he starts to make these plays with regularity, and definitely a play that was worthy of, being the real estate rewind. And, shout out to Mr. Jonathan Miller, the real estate agent that, we use to sponsor this segment. And, this, Eric, we use Huddle as one of our programs here as we start to break down these plays. And it's some of the technology that allows us to do what we do. And it's similar to what Jonathan does at Metro Roberts Realty with the technology that he uses in order to kind of really get everybody's homes sold faster. He's extremely professional with his photography. He does 3D virtual tours, drone photos, and videos that are included with each listing at no extra charge. He'll work with buyers, work with sellers in all price ranges. I'm a softie for animals, so I like that he donates a portion of his commission from each sale to rescue an animal. So shout out to Jonathan and for sponsoring the segment, and shout out to Matt Milano for making this segment happen.
No, good stuff. I know we didn't get to do a lot of the defensive side of the ball, but I did want to, add that little clip there for our segment there. John, before we get you out of here, I know you got to get out to your hockey game. That was a Matt Milano play, but I want to hear your thoughts on the other guy, the other linebacker, Bernard, before we get you out of here. Once again, thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah, of course. First thing, shout out to you guys in those ad reads. Very well done. Very, very well looping them in with the tech. I mean, I'm impressed there. Quick on the Milano play. It's a good thing he makes that play because it's pretty well blocked in front of him. If he doesn't get there, it's possible that it might go for a little bit.
Hit.
Yeah. So
Bernard gets sealed inside, and there's a little alley there.
Yeah. Anyways, Bernard, I thought he got better as the game went on. Personally, it's tough though. He looks small. I mean, he is small.
Right.
I think it's going to be there's a saying. I'm a big Arsenal fan, big soccer fan. Sorry to talk about soccer here. Arsene Wenger, famous soccer manager for Arsenal, long time. He would say, "You lose points to gain experience." So he would say that about his players. You play young players, and you're going to lose points. You're going to lose wins and stuff, but they're going to gain experience for later on. Mm-hmm. And I think that's my point on Bernard. TB is that it's going to be. I think it's going to be quite choppy at first. I don't think that this is an easy defense for a linebacker. I think a lot is expected out of these guys, but he is the athletic profile that I think they need in it. You look at Quincy Williams. I think it's Quincy Williams, the Jets guy.
Yep.
He's seeking missile. Unbelievable. Yeah. Him and Mosley make that defense. There was we didn't get into the plays he would make on these swing passes that he was, James Cook in the open field, the throw down the sideline that he's running with Cook. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've devalued the linebacker position a lot in football, but when you see a very, very good one like Milano, like the two guys the Jets have, which I love Mosley. He's been a pain in the ass ever since he's come over.
Yep.
It really improves the defense. So,
and you know what, John? You know what we need to do is one of these days go back to Milano's film, his rookie year, because I think you will see a lot of those splash plays like you see from Bernard. He had an average depth of tackle of 1 yard, matched Matt Milano in this game against the run, 1 yard. You're going to see a lot of those splash plays. You saw him shoot a gap just like that, like Milano did, make a tackle for loss. But again, when he was coming into the league, Milano was a lot lighter.
He's a safety.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it is. I'm with you. It's going to be choppy at first. There's going to be some good, some bad. But I think from the shoulders up, he is what they want. And especially when we're talking zone coverage, which I did a video on him, his spacing, he's so under control. He distributes the route concepts really well. And I do think the more reps he plays, he's going to get better. And you saw him, Anthony, something you talked about on social media, on Twitter. You saw him pointing out, in aligning
Mhm.
people. He was very vocal.
Yeah.
And I know that's obviously that's the number one thing that these coaches on this staff talk about, the Mike linebacker position. So it is important to them, and he showed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
thought
think
that was. Go ahead.
Sorry, Anthony. I was going to
No,
say, I believe he was a Baylor guy, and was he
Dave
and I
Aranda.
believe Aranda said that he would teach the defense to everybody.
Right.
You know, if you when he
Mhm.
was coming out, like he was very, very intelligent. So, you know, to your point, Eric, the mental part's probably not going to be the tough part. I mean, it's tough playing against NFL athletes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And you know, it is what it is.
I think Leslie Frazier had a quote about him last year too. It was like he's a chalkboard to grass kind of guy, or sort of whiteboard to grass kind of guy,
Yeah,
something like
I like
that. But the moral of it was like he can see something on the whiteboard like one time, and then you go out on the practice field and he can implement it. And just you see that like and coming from that Aranda system, like he's comfortable in match coverages. Eric, we broken down his tape a bunch, and like he knows like the push calls, and he knows how to wall off and who to carry and what to do. And I was extremely encouraged by the mental side of his game and just how communicative he was and how he took responsibility and getting guys aligned and doing different pieces and checking, connecting the back end to the defensive line and calling things out and making adjustments in pieces. Shout out to that. And John, I love your quote too. I'm a big soccer guy. I've never heard that quote from Arsene Wenger, so that was pretty awesome to hear. Well done.
Yeah, talk about center backs, and then obviously, they got to get the gaps right on that 83-yard ball run.
They got to line up properly from all. That's of it, right? Yeah, they were short a guy.
They were gapped out.
They were out gapped.
Yep. Yeah, and then that you're out gapped and you're in the situation where Trey White is one-on-one with Breece Hall, and that's a matchup that an offense will take every single day of the week. Like you got your corner against our right. Yep, that's exactly it. That's literally that's exactly it. It's duo. They're trying to get to that. Like if that front side linebacker like fills in, like, and it gets washed, like you cut to the corner and the corner is your man, and Breece Hall beat him.
And I bring it up because you want to make your corners tackle. Yes. And what can you do on that little flat 7 route? You hit the flat, and what do?
Oh, make the corners tackle.
Make the corners tackle.
There you go.
There was a method to my madness on that.
Well done.
Full circle with you guys.
Well done. Let's wrap.
This was fun, guys. This was great.
This was absolutely tremendous. Major thank you to you, John, for joining us tonight on a really important episode. I was joking with Eric yesterday or today when we were talking about it, like just didn't think it would be this important of an episode this early on in the season, but it was an important one. And John, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here. We'll wrap up and say goodbye to everybody, but John, know you got to go. Plug anything and everything you got, your social media handle or anything you want. You were tremendous. Everybody in the chat was talking about how great you were. So we appreciate the hell out of you, and the floor is yours, and we'll send you on your merry way.
Yeah, probably the best shit poster in all of Bill's Twitter. I would like to
come on
to shout myself out for that.
You create better content than that. I will say, come on now.
Well, you're very, very kind. No, it was fun. I would love to come back after a win. So we have like happy things to talk about, but it was great meeting all of you guys. I've retired a lot from the analysis game. 3 kids has really old. All Eric. I see your pictures of your kids and everything. But you guys do great work. It was a lot of fun talking with you guys. So let's hope for a win on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Godspeed, John. Have fun at hockey. Good luck, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Whew. John,
that's a long one. Sorry, guys. That was a long one, but it was necessary, right?
Oh,
it was necessary.
Absolutely necessary. Eric, we said it. Like this was, and I think we prided ourselves on this show of really breaking down the nuts and bolts of what's actually happening behind the scenes. And with a loss of this magnitude and the style of loss it was and the emotions that were running high, there was a lot of false information being spread out by whether it was content creators or the media or different evaluators in certain pieces talking about, this guy's at fault for this and this person's at fault for this. And it can kind of negatively impact, I think, the fans' minds in terms of warping them and putting them down a wrong path. So I thought this episode was tremendously important to kind of get everybody situated in terms of what actually happened. And it was awesome to have John join us for that. And I like Steve's comment here that says tonight's show was like an exorcism. Very nice.
Our show is ending, but within the next few minutes, Cover One Buffalo is going live. So stay tuned. go grab your drink, go hit the restroom, come back, watch those guys. Again, it was a fun show. I know it was a loss, but it's week 1. Let's pump the brakes. Let's regroup. And hopefully, as you guys said, we can get a W this weekend.
Hopefully. And as we wrap up here, we appreciate all you folks who joined us live on this episode. If you're still here, we still got a lot of you. Please drop a like on this video. If you are watching later here on YouTube, please drop a like on this video. Likes are the lifeblood of these streams. If you're listening on one of the podcasting apps or platforms, please rate and review and subscribe to the Cover One Film Room. Tell your family and friends and loved ones about the Cover One Film Room and Cover One, the brand as a whole. We have you covered every single day of the week with content in a multitude of entertaining fashions, different levels depending on what you're looking for, what your niche is. And we appreciate every ounce of support you folks give to us. And one of those ounces of support come in the form of Cover One Pass, something that we're tremendously proud of in terms of what we offer, in terms of our, next level content experience for fans and subscribers. Eric, it's something that, you've done a really great job building, and something that we hang our hat on now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Couldn't do this without you guys. We appreciate everyone tuning in. You guys were very gracious with your time and engagement. It was a very good turnout, but we couldn't do this without you guys. So with that said, if you're able to help support our company, our work, our content and creative, expertise and what we bring to the table, please become a One Pass reader. With that said, Anthony, great show. We're going to sign off here. You guys, if you're interested in One Pass, our man Greg and our boy AQ kind of give you a heads up on what that is.
Many people ask us the best way to support us here at Cover One, and that is to sign up. Many people ask us the best way to support us here at Cover One, and that is to sign up to become a Cover One Pass member. That contribution helps give us the access to.
I think the video got cut a little short there.
A little?
Yeah, a little bit, a little glitchy at the beginning, but that's something we'll iron the kinks out going forward. Cover One Pass, the insight that you get in the Slack channel, insider access to, we're not a breaking news company, but I like the comment from Harley, says, no, not the remix, insider access that we don't break publicly, that we break in the Slack channel, that is for those subscribers, in addition to next level content in a variety of forms or fashions. Check it out. You can also find it in the episode show notes, whether you're here on YouTube or any of the podcasting apps or platforms, or you can always hit us up on Twitter. I'm at @pro__ant. Eric is at Cover One, or Eric J. Turner, whatever you need. Eric, like you said, it's been a long episode. It's been a long night. We're going to go pass out. We appreciate you folks. For myself, Anthony Prohaska, for Eric Turner, for John, Ramsey, who just absolutely crushed it tonight. This has been another episode of the Cover One Film Room. We'll see you live next Wednesday, September 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern, again, breaking down Bills Raiders. And until then, we hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. Godspeed. And as always, go Bills.